Yeah.
Okay, everybody, welcome to day one of our employment planning workshop here at Larson Training Centers. We take a different approach to employment planning, which is proactive, not reactive. Everybody else is reactive. I think you'll find having a proactive approach is much better if you're trying to find meaningful, stable, meaningful employment. We're going to talk about that after the tutorial video. Today's video will be Steve Jobs' commencement address at Stanford University. There's a couple important things to note about this. I think this was in 2007. I think Steve Jobs gave this commencement address to 2005. Okay, so 2005, even before. So when he went back to Apple, and in 2005, this was not really a big deal. Apple in 2005 was not the way Apple is today. Steve Jobs had just been back there for a short period of time, and you'll see the people graduating are not like sitting on their seats listening to every word he says as if it's coming from the burning bush. They're paying him some respect, but they're doing other things too. And they probably regret that they weren't spending more time, because I think this has like 14 million views or something. It's just a huge watch thing. And he's going to talk about 3 things in here that go to life. I think all 3 of them are very important. The starting point is about connecting the dots. It's about doing things today that might not make sense to you, but in the future, the dots will be connected. And so, please consider your employment planning workshop to be the same type of thing. You might not understand the importance of it, but it is important to get the type of position you want. So, unless there's any questions here or in California, we're going to start the video.
There's like 30 people here and only 13 went on. So 14.
Oh, 14 pluses?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So please plus, well, not necessarily everybody is, well, everybody who's in Google Plus, please plus the thing right over here that Scott is pointing out. This is just a good habit to get into, is best practices. So there's 14. So that means, Samuel, did you do it? Did you plus this?
Well, did you
plus it? You clicked on it? How about you, Bill?
You press refresh and it'll go.
And it'll show more refresh.
Jamie, did you do it? Bill, can you show Jamie? And then Jamie can show Brian. Okay. In the meantime, while people are figuring that out, let's get the videos going. I'm going to share my screen and turn off the microphones. Okay, so Richard. Oh, correct. Correct.
Show her where the bus is. The back of it.
Did you work today, Brian?
You didn't plus yours, dude.
Yes, I did.
How come it's not red?
What's red?
Right there.
Up on top.
See where it says
No, over.
over, right? Keep going over. Right there. Plus.
Plus that.
There you go.
Oh, I busted on the other page.
Now you hit
So I'm
plus
in
yes.
plus.
On plus.
Yeah, say plus one guest.
No.
See, plus one guest. That's why it's got plus one.
Yes, but you didn't bring a guest. You had to hit the other one that you just hit to make it red.
Ah,
That's the one you signed right.
Is it 2 people then? Should I
Yeah. I just went to Google Plus and where's Larson?
We're not muted.
So, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Maybe those will be here.
yeah, it's over there.
Echo.
Okay, can you hear me in California?
And like
We
any
can hear you,
corporation,
Ed, but we're not quite
it
finished
just
here.
gets
Should
better
we
and
stop
better
it and let
as
them
the
watch
years
it
go
later?
on. So keep
Okay, just come back on when you were done.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so for everybody here, did that video, did that Steve Jobs thing have any meaning?
Yeah.
Let's start with Samuel.
Yeah, not to give up everything he went through.
Okay, that was one of his things.
His past.
Ed, can you mute
It made an
yourself for
impression
here?
on me.
Your Santa
And
Fe
since
Springs?
then,
Sure.
last
Yeah.
years,
Thank you.
I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself,
Ed, can you hear us?
Yes. Okay, are you done?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. So we were just talking about that video and how it relates to our employment planning workshop. Is Fernando there? Okay, is Victoria there?
No, I'm sorry, she's out.
Okay. Any of the other usual suspects there?
Yes. We
Okay,
have
good.
Day is here, Caroline is here.
Okay. So Caroline, since Rose volunteered you, what did you like about that video? The Steve Jobs commencement address.
She said he had courage to move forward.
Okay, good. So that was like on the second point, right? Don't give up on what you believe in.
Yes.
And so we're here to start our employment planning workshop, and a lot of it is contained in the notes to today's talk, which is on our Google Plus event. But the difference between what we do and other people do is most people believe you go after the jobs that are looking for people. You take a reactive approach. You wait for a company to say we're looking. You wait for those companies to put an ad in the paper, and then you just throw your resume out 100 times a day, or you go on these employment boards and you let them know that you're available. That's how most people do it. That's how we're conditioned now to do it. So, but if you take Steve Jobs' advice, which we incorporate into our employment planning workshop, that's exactly the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not the right way to do it, is to find something, wait for somebody to put an ad on Monster or one of these other boards, and then be one of the 400, 200, 100, 1,000, however many other people are looking for that job. That's not the right way to do it, unless you're just looking for a job. And so what we're going to talk about this week is putting together your employment plan and then helping you implement the employment plan. So the starting point is to get out your notebooks and write down some important terms. Now, most people should have them. I think there's only going to be 3 or 4 people here in Las Vegas who don't have them. But the first thing is to write down is a job. We're going to write down the definition of these words. So job, and I'll put them on the board.
Job is the place.
Place, yeah, place where you work.
Destiny or calling.
All right.
I'm guessing it's the place where you work.
So, is anybody in California know what these 3 words are? Not 3 words, yeah, 3 words. Job. What's the second one?
Calling.
In California. Anybody in California now? Okay, so the second one is a calling.
What's that mean?
I'm going to tell you in a
Read your
second.
notes. It's
And the third
I don't
thing
even know.
is destiny.
No, he don't.
Do I have this?
Okay,
He can write it down.
So, let's see. Okay, you should be able to see it, but my penmanship isn't very good. So this word is destiny, calling, and job. These are a career.
Destiny?
Calling or destiny. Okay? So, for our purposes and the purposes of the employment planning workshop, a job is something that you do to pay the bills. Okay, it's not a career. That's a thing where it might be okay to be emotionally detached from your work. Okay? People who are entertainers, virtually all people who are entertainers had a job that they had to do until they had their break. People who are athletes had jobs in between seasons. Like if you're in college and you're not the best player, you go get a job, but really what you want to do is go to the gym and practice or work out or do whatever you do. You just have the job because you need money to pay the bills.
People going to school the same way.
People that are going to school, right, people going to college get jobs, something to pay the bills while they're going to school, because what they really want to do is get their degree, or they want to learn. Okay? So for us, a job is something you do to pay the bill. If you turn the job into your career, if you find that you say, I hate this, but I can't quit, you have now become what's called a wage slave.
A sheeple.
Okay? Okay? You are a wage slave. If that is your career, if you hate your work, if you hate your job, and you keep doing it, you keep going back, you come home at night, you're not happy, you know, you just hate work, but you don't quit, that means you have now become a wage slave. And by that it means you have given up your freedom, your freedom to have a little bit of perceived freedom a couple days a week. But you voluntarily decided to do that. Nobody forces you to work in the company where you work. So if you hate working where you work...
Oh, bills kind of help. Bills kind of help, and you got to pay the bills. You got to.
Well, but that doesn't mean you need to settle for that. When you go to the point, if you say, I'm only doing this because I need to pay the bills because I want to do that,
Well,
I want to graduate, I want to be an entertainer, I want to be a cook, I want saving money to buy my own restaurant, all of those things, that's a job. You're doing it to pay the bills. If you say, this is it, when you get to the point of saying, this is what I'm going to do, I hate it,
I'll do it the rest
but this is what I'm going to do, I'm not going to pursue anything else, now you have become a wage slave. And you have probably joined the class of people known as sheeple. Okay? The next thing is a calling. And here we define calling as something that you would do. You want to do it so much, you love it so much, you would do it for free if you could afford to. Okay, now we're not saying to anybody, go work for free. We're not saying that. We're taking the money out of the equation and we're saying you love it so much you would do it for free. And then a destiny takes that one level higher.
Okay.
We love it so much, I would pay to have this job. That's how much I love this job. That is what Steve Jobs was talking about, that everybody should strive for and not give up.
Well, I think you should do that for any job you have.
Well, that's,
Even
well,
if it is just a
Of
slave
course,
job.
yeah.
well, okay, so what would Marcus Aurelius say? Israel, what would Marcus Aurelius say? What would Marcus, okay, so
Don't do
I say the point
Don't worry
is
about things
you do a job because you need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Now Richard said, but you should feel the same way about your job as you do about anything. You should feel the same way.
I would feel Walmart.
Okay. So so what would Marcus Aurelius say? He would say, do your best.
Do your best.
If you're working at 7-Eleven, do your best. But that doesn't mean you have to say, I would do this for free if I could.
Drive a cab, I would.
Well, because you want to drive a cab.
You do your best
You like
until
driving
you can reach the point where you can move on.
Correct.
Oh, I love it, man. That was a great job.
So a calling, okay, so hold on everybody, let's keep focused. We're not talking about driving cabs right now, guys. A calling is something you would do because you love doing it. You would do it for free if you could. A destiny is one step higher, and that includes people like Mother Teresa type of things. It's just way
What's her job?
above and beyond. She was saving starving people in India.
Oh, so she didn't actually work.
No, she didn't work.
She didn't work.
Yeah, she actually did work.
Oh,
Yeah. She worked at 7-Eleven.
She didn't work.
Okay, so hold on. So those are the definitions of things we're talking about. Our employment plan focuses on everybody getting a career, which is either a calling or destiny position, but realizing and accepting the fact of life that you probably will need to get a job in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay? But the better you do on employment plan, the more likely you're going to get this position. If you put a little bit of time into your employment plan, it's going to take longer. Okay? So, in your books, there is a picture on your symbols page.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that looks like this.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering about that.
Okay, it's a triangle.
Gee,
And there's a G, F, and a C.
I have one.
When you go to film school, or it used to be when you went to film school at UCLA, in the very beginning they would tell you this is the rule about making movies.
You can have any two.
Okay, you can have any two of these.
And make a good movie.
So this is good, fast, cheap. So you can have a good movie and do it fast, but it won't be cheap. Or you can do a good movie and do it cheap, but it won't be fast. Or you can have a fast movie and it can be cheap, but it won't be good. You can have two of these.
Why can't you have a third?
Because it doesn't work that way.
Oh,
Okay? This
can't
is what
make
they
it good,
teach you.
fast, and cheap?
No.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
No. Okay?
Sounds like you can.
If
Sounds like you can.
it's good, it won't be fast, and it won't be cheap.
Oh,
If
I
it's cheap,
got it.
it won't be good, and it won't be fast.
Well, it can be
What's
good and
fast?
fast. It can be
Fast,
two
it
of the
won't
two.
be good, and it won't be
What is
Well,
fast?
it can be two of them.
Good and
What is
fast.
fast?
Maybe cheap will cost a lot
You
of
won't
money.
get the movie done fast. You won't get it done quickly.
It can,
Oh,
It's gonna
be
take a lot of
cheap,
time.
You get it done quickly.
It can be cheap and good, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah. Okay? So
Why would you
here,
want to make a movie fast anyhow?
because you have a deadline.
Deadline?
These things, it's called a deadline. It means you're dead.
How does this, the good, fast, cheap, how does this apply to my employment?
Okay, it applies to your employment plan because if you don't put time into it, if you don't have a good plan,
Yeah.
you're not going to get good results.
I'm going to get a fast, cheap job?
You're working fast.
No, it's not about getting your job. It's the quality of your employment plan.
Okay.
And the results is the better it is. It's like a movie. The better the movie is, the more money it's going to make,
Okay.
right?
All right.
So the goal is to get a career calling position. But you have to apply this to that. If you don't, it's cheap. That's what the little chickadee said. Okay, so if you want to have a good employment plan, if you want it to be good, then you're not going to be able to do it fast without putting any energy into it. So this would be effort
Effort, very good.
for your employment plan.
So take your time and do it right.
Take your time and do it right. Spend time on it every day. There's a lot to it. Okay, first of all, you have to identify, well, firstly, in the notes for today's thing, you have to have your stuff set up. You need a calendar. You need a map. You need to have a folder on your drive.
What's the map for?
The map is to put where the employers are that you want to work.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a phone
You
book.
identify them.
It's like a phone book.
What do you mean? It's like a phone book.
It's got their address on it.
Well, it does, but that's where you build from.
If
We-
put in your contacts.
Who's ever heard the expression, a picture paints 1,000 words?
All right.
Anybody not ever hear that expression? Okay. So a map makes it easier to visualize things. And we know from our thing in YouTube, our Google Maps, we know that you can do Street View and you can look at that place. And what else are they doing now?
Going inside.
Going inside. Okay, what was that called?
Satellite.
No,
Inside
not
view.
satellite. Satellite's from up above.
Page of the
So yeah,
Inside
Google
view. Inside view.
Inside View.
Very
So Google Maps started as a map, then they went to satellite view, then they went to street level view.
Yeah.
And as Rob pointed out, and for anybody in California, if you click on the map in the event and zoom in on this place, they have now some really nice pictures of the outside of the Learning Village, the school where our campus is.
Street level views.
So then it went to Google Maps, went to street level views, and then, as we learned, it's now, what's it called, Janie?
Inside view.
Inside view. It's now inside view.
Big brother.
So for purposes of employment planning, the easier you can visualize what you want to occur, the more you can help make it happen. Or what did Wittgenstein say? Things that cannot be pictured
Cannot be
cannot be said, because saying them means nothing, right? Yeah, okay? So to answer the question, Richard, why the map? It's to help visualize where we want to have our calling or career position. It's also a good place to start storing all of the facts that we're going to get about that. Okay?
The third one folder?
Huh?
The third one folder?
Yeah, on your drive. So on your drive, you would have a folder. On the map, in the description, you have a link to the documents in your folder that go with that employer. So you could have a subfolder called Hetza Company. And that's where you put all your research. You go to your map, you click on Hetza Company, the description box opens up, there's a link in there that takes you back to your drive, and you can have all of your information stored there. So it's just a very easy, good way to visualize a lot of information. Part of the reason we want you to visualize it, to have a map, is there are things that are important to employers, like how long is it going to take you to get to work? Has anybody ever experienced that?
They ask you sometimes on your application how you get to work.
Yeah.
They'll ask for transportation.
Okay. Do you have transportation? Where do you live? Yeah.
When I worked city centers, they asked on application if you have transportation, and if you put the bus, they wanted to know, you know,
That you knew.
you were going to get there on time.
Okay.
It was like my job, I could either get there 45 minutes early or 5 minutes late.
Exactly.
So I would get there
They don't want it.
45 minutes early.
Okay, so we'll get to the calendar in a second. That's a good question. But just to finish with the map, it's about visualizing it. It's about organizing data. Because once you have that pinpoint on the map and you zoom in on that, you open that up, then you have the opportunity to have a link to all kinds of other stuff, including their YouTube videos. Okay, so it makes it easy to do that. Now, why a calendar? Well, another thing about people is people procrastinate, right?
Very true.
Does anybody here ever procrastinate?
Every day, every day.
Okay.
Not me.
How do you overcome procrastination? What causes you to stop procrastinating?
So you're going to do it tomorrow.
A deadline, right?
Oh, deadline.
Frustration.
Laziness.
A deadline, or you make a commitment. A deadline is basically imposed by someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to do this by that date.
That's what you do.
Boom, what goes on your calendar?
That day.
Okay, now a commitment is something that you make on your own.
That's the one you procrastinate.
Okay, now a commitment can be a deadline that's kind of gray, but for my purposes, a commitment is something you impose upon yourself. I am committing, I'm going to do this by then. And I'm saying for our purposes, a deadline is somebody else says to me, I need this by then, by a certain date. Okay?
It's still procrastinating.
Well, you can procrastinate, and if the person giving you the deadline, if it's not a firm deadline, what does it mean? It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, the deadline means what it
So
says.
you put all of these things on your calendar. Okay, anything that is important in the future, and you also use it to record important things that have already occurred, like a history book. Like, okay, I sent a letter to this employer, a cover letter with my resume attached on this day, right? That date goes on your calendar, because if you ever wondered, well, I know I sent them a letter, when did I send the letter? Because when you follow up, when you have your follow-up letter, you're going to want it to be easy to say, 2 weeks ago I sent you a letter, or on the 10th of September I sent you a letter, or whatever it is. The more you seem like you're on the ball, the higher the better you're going to look to them. The better you look, the higher probability that they're going to choose you. So the other thing about a calendar would be you put on there, okay, here's my interview date. I'm going into interview. Now you might set commitments for yourself that, okay, the day before I go there, I want to practice, I want to rehearse.
Yeah.
Okay?
The bathroom.
A week before that, I want to start doing my research. I want to spend an hour a day researching, getting prepared for my interview. And you should treat your interview as your one shot.
Right.
So it's worth putting time into it. It's worth putting effort into your job interview. That means be prepared. Okay? So that's another thing that goes on your calendar. Now, let's say it's the afternoon after you had your interview. What could you put on your calendar?
That you
Call 'em back.
that you have the interview.
Call them back.
Or follow
Call
up.
back.
You
Follow up,
could
yeah.
you could put your notes of how it went. Like, I really, really want to get this job, and you might put some notes of something important that would help you next time you're in an interview. If you get a
Yeah.
second interview,
Don't sweat.
you know, everybody's been in the situation. Oh God, I wish I knew that before I went in here. That guy said something great. I got to remember that. I got to remember it when I leave. Well, here you remember it. The next interview, you go and look at your notes of this interview, and you prepare. And it's the good and it's the bad. And then once you have your notes and things on your calendar, you can also include links to other documents, right? So,
Like your resume.
like the resume that you did send me, if you want to do that. So the calendar is to plan for the future events and to record the past. Now, part of a good plan, employment plan that we'll talk about tomorrow because it's time to go, is that you should be having 3 to 5 employers that could be a career for you, not just one. 3 to 5 companies that you would love to work for. Okay, and think of it like it's a Ferris wheel. That you're gonna, as you get information about some of these, or you get an interview and it didn't work out, well, that's like somebody just got off the Ferris wheel. Okay, now you got to replace that. And if you're always working these, within 12 months, you will get a career or calling position. I mean, a calling or destiny position. Most people can't go for a year without employment, right? So what do?
Wait till we retire.
Take a
You give us
job.
No, we take a job,
We
right?
don't give up on our.
Roommate.
Right. You do something. You do something to supplement the income. So tomorrow we're going to start breaking down, and we're going to start with the map. So what I'd like everybody to do today is at least identify the field that you would love to work in. Something that you would say,
Cab driver.
okay. So if it's a cab driver, great. And let's see now. Shannon Gould is coming in here. Do you know Shannon?
Offhand, I don't know.
Yeah.
So she's very involved in the taxi business.
Cool.
So she
be
might
here
be able to
today?
help you. She's supposed to be here.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions in California?
Any questions? No, we're good, Ed.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you're smiling. See you tomorrow.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, break time.
Turn off the machines, people.